We begin our story on the banks of an old and forgotten river. Atop the winding woods in endless darkness, this is where the ghost was born. He was raised in a small town at the edge of a great mountain, and from a young age he was terrified of the world outside. As a child, the ghost sat silently in his den, listening as voices tormented him and scared him into a life spent entirely alone. One day, he ventured out into the bright, harsh world and was immediately met with vitriol and contempt. The ghost, you see, was odd, and in the world he inhabited, that just wasn't acceptable. Soon, he was loathed by all the town. For whatever reason, the locals just couldn't accept him as one of their own. They vilified the ghost, taunted and abused him, and ultimately, they killed him. On the morning of December 20th, the ghost stood trial for the murder of 5 people in a brutal and macabre scene. While he insisted his innocence, and despite there being no evidence to link him to the crime, he was convicted and sentenced to death. "He just looks like the type, evil and ungodly," a woman shouted as the ghost was taken to the gallows. Some hours later, the ghost was hanged in the local Catholic cemetery. For 6 days, all was quiet, and the townspeople felt that they had done the right thing. In a time where fear controlled so much of the behavior and thought of their culture, they felt safe knowing that they had taken the appropriate steps to end their dread. They had believed that the ghost had put a curse on their town, and so before they buried his body, they removed his right eye and chopped off his hand. As the casket was lowered into the earth, they burned these parts and spread the ashes along the banks of the Ohio River. This was an ancient precaution taken to ensure that the ghost could no longer touch them or see them, and therefore could not hurt them. However, 6 days later, something happened that no one in the town could have predicted. Sometimes, when something so terrible happens to an innocent soul, the universe has a way of fixing the damage that was done, and on the evening of December 26th, that's exactly what happened. On that night, you see, he returned from the dead. This is the ghost of Ohio.